And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking all of the news coming out of the Canadian Grand Prix, arguably one of the best races of the year so far. We have Ocon being unhappy at team orders, huge issues with people not being allowed into the circuit during the practice session, making F1 very unhappy at the organisers. We've got Norris stating we could have won, but for even a couple of McLaren mistakes, maybe. And Toto defends George in what was a very scrappy race for Mr. Russell. So let's talk the Canadian Grand Prix fallout. Thank you very much. We've got Ocon being unhappy at team orders, and there's a full transcript here over the air. We're looking at planetf1.com, and this has been uncovered. So Esteban Ocon, he issued a sarcastic, amazing response to his race engineer Josh Peckett after being informed that Pierre Gasly would not give him back P9 on the final lap of the Grand Prix. A transcript of his radio conversation with his race engineer was laid bare. Now, Ocon overtaken quite late in the race by, I think, Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon had his teammate Gasly close up on his rear wing and was told by Alpine to let him through to see if Gasly could chase down Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, fair enough. It's a fair question. So he initially refused the order, saying forget it, but then Ocon moved over with the expectation that Gasly would give the position back if he couldn't take 8th from Danny Ricciardo. However, he didn't. But then he also did not very much give back P9. And the following transcript shows Ocon's frustrations coming to the surface. The engineer saying, Esteban, we have to let Pierre through, please. Gap behind him, 2 seconds to Hülkenberg. Ocon saying, what's the reason? The engineer saying, we need to try and attack Ricciardo. Initially, he said, yeah, forget it. And then his engineer said, okay, this is a request. Got 3 laps to go. Ocon said, are you giving the place back after or not? And the engineer said, that's what I'm working on, which is not really a yes, but then it's not emphatically a no. Then Ocon said, okay, I'll let him by, understood. Ocon let Gasly through at turn 8 on lap 69 of the 70-lap Grand Prix, and the engineer said, Esteban, the cars are not swapping places, push to the end, please. And he said, yeah, amazing, thank you, amazing, thank you. And his engineer said, okay, radio is still on. And Ocon then continued by going, okay, mate, yeah, you're good, okay, yeah, okay, no comments, too nice, okay, mate. If Gasly couldn't get by Danny Ricciardo, as we saw the Lewis Hamilton, I think in Hungary, when Bottas let Hamilton through, and was when there was a world championship potentially at stake. And then Hamilton couldn't get by, I think, either Raikkonen or Vettel at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And then, come the last corner, on the last lap, he let Bottas through. I don't know why they didn't do that. It just makes Alpine look even more amateurish than they have been of late, unfortunately. So next up, we've got huge issues in Canada. The promoters are facing scrutiny amid what people have described as farcical scenes during the Montreal F1 weekend. So Stefano Domenicali, the F1 CEO, he's apologised to team bosses following what was a number of issues at this weekend. Complaints were raised after what's been described as a breakdown in communications between the circuit and police, which saw team members and guests stranded for hours when the entrance to the track was closed on Friday and Saturday. The circuit's located on the man-made Notre Dame Island that was constructed in the St. Lawrence River, and it was used as a venue for the 1976 Olympic Games. But police officers closed this bridge that accesses the circuit due to what they described as congestion on the island, with the race attracting a record attendance of 350,000 people over 3 days. Now, other problems included a flooded hospitality units, which were partially floating on a lake used for the rowing competition, and a lack of suitable parking that saw the VIP parking area at least turn into a mud bath, which may have been amusing for some. A mud bath of VIPs getting muddy, but further issues including fans being turned away during Fridays. That's not amusing. Practice sessions after misinformation claimed the action had been abandoned for the day due to heavy rain. They didn't turn the VIPs away, did they? I don't think VIPs pay. So TV commentary booths in the new pit lane building were also leaking and caused damage to equipment. Fans invaded the track also after the checkered flag, leading to the FIA stewards to summon the promoter, the Octane Racing Group, over the recurring issue. The promoter was later admonished by the FIA, and the circuit has a deal with F1 that currently runs until 2031. Great. There remains huge interest in the sport in Canada as the attendance, 350,000. However, there have been repeated demands for the promoter to make changes to the race to accommodate and match F1's ambitions, and the bosses want to see the race switched in the calendar to earlier in the year, and it does make sense, go back to back with Miami to improve logistical problems. And other requests have included improving the access points, etc. But they're not particularly happy with... you can't do anything about the flooding. You can do something about not letting people in. However, if it was a safety issue, I completely understand. I think, let the paying public in and keep the VIPs out. Definitely. Yeah, I'm sure many of you agree. It's not going to... That would never happen, though, would it? No, not to our lovely VIPs. But these are the people that have paid to be there. They want to be there. They paid money to be there. Yeah. Unlike the many celebrities that are pretty much getting a free ride. Ironically, the ones that can afford to be there. Moving on from that rant, let's talk about Lando Norris and McLaren. So, frustrated Norris, he says a pit stop mistake could cost McLaren, it did potentially cost McLaren in the race that he's described they should have won. This is from racefans.net, and Norris says he would have won the Canadian Grand Prix, but missed an opportunity to pit when the safety car was deployed. And as we know, the safety car was deployed when Norris was leading to join the track, and it joined the track too late for him immediately to take advantage and make what would be a low-cost pit stop. He lost time lapping behind it while the drivers behind him were able to pit right away. And by the time Norris eventually came in to change his tyres, he'd lost too much time. He rejoined on the track, sadly in third place, but he revealed there'd been enough time for McLaren to bring him in when the safety car came out. And that's something I didn't know. We all thought, watching the feed, that he'd passed the pit lane line. He said, we should have won the race today, and we didn't, so it's frustrating. We had the pace, probably not in the dry at the end, but it turned out it didn't really matter too much. But we should have won today, simple as that. We didn't do a good enough job as a team to box when we should have done and not to get stuck behind the safety car. Norris won the Miami Grand Prix last month when the safety car did appear and very much help him. But Norris went on to say, I don't think it was luck or unlucky kind of thing. I don't think it was the same as Miami. This was just making a wrong call. So it's on me and it's on the team and it's something we'll discuss later. We should have won today. Yeah, absolutely. But then you can make an argument that this guy should have won today. I think he had even more chances than Lando Norris. But Toto has defended George Russell after his force his way through the wall criticism. So he's defended him after what was a number of costly errors in the Canadian Grand Prix, and that had Ralf Schumacher claiming he wants to force his way through the wall. So lining up on pole position at what was a wet circuit, Jules Villeneuve's, the name of the circuit, Russell led early laps, only to lose positions to both Norris and Verstappen in quick succession. Many have felt he burnt his tyres out, for example. So trying to hold off Norris, Russell outbraked himself, which meant he went from first to third in the space of one corner. Whoops-a-daisy. Now back ahead of Norris as the race played out. Another mistake from Russell when he clipped the curb at turn 8 and again allowed the McLaren driver to sweep back by. So the Mercedes boss came over the radio and said, focus, George, focus. Now, in the final 10 laps after the safety car restart, Sainz's very silly crash with Albon. It was Russell's turn to attack. However, making contact, Russell found himself the wrong way down an escape road, which allowed his teammate Lewis Hamilton to also take a position from him. And he forgot. No, he didn't. He fought back past Piastri and then fought back past Hamilton to claim what was his and Mercedes' first podium of the year, and he was left to rue his costly mistake, saying, I'm disappointed with myself. I made too many errors that set us back and cost us a chance of victory. I was really pushing the limits out there, he said. So, pushing too hard, that's how Ralf Schumacher describes it. He says, George's speed is always there, but then when it comes down to it, he wants to force his way through, and that's what he's told Sky Deutschland. And I kind of agree. It's kind of like him. He's almost like the opposite of Norris. Where Norris, I don't think, is aggressive enough sometimes. George may be too aggressive. It kind of like if you put the two in a washing machine and mix them up, you'd probably get a multiple world champion. Both of them are capable of winning championships. Both of them are capable of beating people like Max Verstappen and George Russell and Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton on their day. So we want to see more, George. At the moment, not good enough. if you made it to the end, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We will be talking about F1, all the news. We do a bit of gaming, we do a bit of touring car talk, and we also talk about the rally. Anyway, if you want to like or subscribe, that would be amazing. If you do one of them, in my eyes, you're a F1 world champion. If you do both, I consider you a multiple world champion. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.